broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Legend of Korra After Show, Book 4 Balance, and oh my god, we got so much to unpack in this one episode. We got, you know, the worthless socialite prince. We finally get to see Kuvira, who just came in randomly in the last episode.
Yeah, I called it. Our last episode, I was like, that girl is shady, and I was correct.
And of course, we got the new Jedi Order of Airbenders. So many changes, and then most of all, it's been 3 years. Like a month for us, 3 years for all the characters. That was did that fake you out? Because it got me.
It was kind of it was great. I think it was needed. Because if they would have just started where they left off, it would have just been kind of more of the same. But now you get to see these people progress, and so though the trailer was like 3 years later, so it wasn't really.
Yeah, I guess I got to that trailer later. I had seen like the preview clip that it was Korra on the dock at Air Temple Island, and she was about ready to like go off to the Southern Water Tribe, which I guess we're gonna have a flashback episode coming up here soon.
Probably.
That's to let us know. But that I gotta give, you know, the creators of the show that at least got me. And everyone can now make fun of me either via Twitter, YouTube comments, or Tumblr. But take your pick. Take your pick. Just send it my way so I know.
No, guys, be nice. He doesn't deserve your scorn, but you do need to get on the internet more.
I really do. I really do. All right. Well, let's move on and see if I can't earn that scorn. Ed,
I'd like to know who you guys are first to begin.
Well, there's also that. Well, joining me today is, of course, Tauri Miller.
Hey, hey.
And I am John Quick. We are unfortunately minus Miss Liz Rishmawi, but she will be joining us in the future. And unfortunately, Miss Katie Cullen has to moved on to other shows, specifically Z Nation. So, you know, if you miss yourself some Katie and need just a little bit of that fix, you can hop on over to Z Nation.
But after you finish this show.
Of course, you know, we're not saying leave us. Please don't. I need all of you.
Dude, we talked about this. Don't get too needy.
I'll try, but all right. But anyway, but leading into the 3 years, so we get a nice little recap, of course, from our announcer. Just you're kind of giving us, you know, that good old fashioned. This Republic City is certainly a city on the rise. Like we see that people are actually living with the spirits. They renamed the park after Korra, and Varric's apparently magnetic monorail thing actually came back.
Yeah, which was awesome. Yeah. I mean, because I know that they had all the blimps and stuff like that, but to connect everyone through this monorail system is really smart.
Yeah, I guess like it's just like. It does seem kind of odd because they have airships. Like, you know, why would, I guess, the rail system, but I guess the rail system would be cheaper maybe in some ways or a lot of ways.
Likely, yeah.
Yeah. But,
and plus, the only people who really had the airships were, like, the Republic City officials and, like, the army and stuff like that. I think this is something that more commercial people can use.
That makes sense. So it's like kind of like that the travel for the everyman. So like now everybody can go around, like at least the Earth Kingdom for right now, maybe down to the Water Tribe, or you know they'll just build a giant bridge to the Fire Kingdom, to the Fire Nation, which we have yet to see.
Fingers crossed this season.
But on the subject of the rail system, so we come out of that recap, and now we're looking at Asami right next to President Tight Pants, or also President Raiko, as he's known as, like opening up the new rail station as we get, you know, not only introduced to see what she's been doing, but also introduced to our replacement Bolin for Mako, Prince Wu, who's this like Paris Hilton-y like socialite prince.
Yeah, he's a big wacky. I use big in terms of his personality. He's a big wacky character. He has all of the the pitfalls of royalty, where he needs everything to be just so, and he's always being pampered and protected and stuff like that. And so we have Mako kind of what is the word, bodyguarding him.
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah, losing his mind at the same time is like, again, like, I'm not kidding when I say he's our replacement Bolin. He's got like all of like Bolin's idiosyncrasies, but just dialed to 11.
Yeah, and so much less charming.
Oh, so much. Yeah, I loved how he was just striking out hard, just trying to pick up on Asami. Like, that was great, and just like not just ignoring her when she goes, yeah, I do like the idea of putting you on a train and sending you somewhere very, very far away.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he was hoping that it would be together.
I'm sure. And then Mako just coming in. It's like the president needs you for some really important king stuff. Just go away, please.
I like that. I like the new older character models for these people, like Asami, and because I mean, I feel like this is the first time you actually see your main characters grow up. Like Aang at some point grew hair.
Yeah.
And Korra never really changed that much except for her clothes. But like now you get to see them taller and more mature, and like they're growing with you. It's kind of like how Dragon Ball, if anyone is an anime fan out there, like they had Goku grow up, and so he got to be more of a adult as well.
And take on more of those adult responsibilities. Like we see, like Asami has gotten Future Industries on track.
Yeah.
Mako is, of course, like he's gotten promoted, although he kind of probably feels like it's a demotion.
Right.
But then, like, even like as we see, like going in with Prince Wu, as he's expressing all of his concerns to President Raiko, to Lin, and to Tenzin, he's just like, so you guys are gonna have the army backing me as I go into Ba Sing Se, right? Like, and they're like, and it's like, it's very clear that they're just messing with him. It's like, yeah, it's mostly handled, and it's kind of, and you're gonna be kind of okay. And then Lin's final thing of, the chances of you getting assassinated are almost zero.
Almost.
Just does that old turtle up thing,
right?
Again, like I guess they were like, we're missing Bolin with all of these interactions with Mako. Maybe we need to put him in.
Yeah, I mean, there needs to be some comic relief. I mean, because it seems like, at least from my perspective, that this season is going to kind of be a little darker. I mean, they've got pretty dark in the last season, but like this one, the overall tone seems more not stuffy, but more straight-laced.
It's a little bit more. I mean, like we're gonna see more of that coming up when we get to Kuvira, but now we're kind of like moving a little. We'll move a little bit past Prince Wu to now Kai and Opal, and as we just call again, the new Airbender order. And I just gotta say, I love the new suit.
Oh.
Like, are you on the opposite side? You're not liking the new suit?
I love them. They make me think of like the like spacesuits that you get in like futuristic shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that they turn into squirrel suits.
That is kind of funny, but it also works with like, because the Airbenders is supposed to be like, at least now they're kind of like the Shaolin monks or the Buddhist priests, and that's a very kind of Shaolin monk style kung fu thing to do. It's like, well, we need to improve how we get around, or like what our style is, and so like look to nature. So I guess obviously they look to the flying squirrel. I might have gone with like an eagle, since you need to fight things now, but flying squirrel, why not?
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, because eagle would be super unfunctional. Like, can you imagine just ripping out giant wings and trying to fight with those? Well, actually, that would be pretty awesome.
That would, yeah.
It would be like you're the vulture from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, but still, these you can easily just clip right to your lapel.
I guess there's more functionality to it. I do miss the fact that they get lost the staffs, but that'll kind of come in later. So we see when they roll up to the Yai province, and they immediately stop a group of bandits, because going into this, like, we're now seeing just like how bad things are in some parts of the Earth Kingdom. This town, apparently this capital of a province is like just very run down, and bandits just roll in like it's no trouble and just steal the last bit of food that everybody has and then speed off and then just dropping it out of the sky. Kai and Opal just like put a stop to them immediately.
My question about these bandits were these bandits in existence before the rebellion, or are these regular people that decided to become bandits?
I think it's a combination of both. I think there's always been bandits within the Earth Kingdom because we've seen that, but I think the oppressive regime of the queen, and I'm totally spacing her name. I don't know why.
Earth Queen.
Earth Queen who got ganked. There, under her oppressive regime, we saw more bandits come up, and now that there has been like no centralized government, things have just gotten worse. And I'm sure more than a few regular people have turned to basically theft and bandit gangs just as a means to survive.
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's just, but as the president of that province, or like the governor, like comes forward and is like, well, where's the rest of you? It's like it's just the two of them, and like, well, we're enough. We're all you got. And he's like, I sent this months ago. Every single, road in and out is blocked. We're getting beset at all sides. Like, you have to be able to do something. And I'll give them, this much. They're like, well, the Air Nation is spread really thin, and there was never that many of them to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at that graduating class, there's maybe about 10 new airbenders in the world trying to police the entirety of the Earth Kingdom. That's that's a tall order.
And you have to imagine that like their efforts are also split in two, because there's still earthbenders that need to, or not earthbenders, but airbenders that need to be found. So there's probably some that are doing the searching, others that are doing the policing, and so there's only so many of them that can cover this giant Earth Kingdom. And
just coming up right behind them is oddly enough so we know that the United Forces is apparently trying to help set the Earth Kingdom, right. But then there's this other army that's coming through, led by none other than Kuvira, and now named Kuvira the Uniter, which is like that's one of those like almost like backhanded like names, like Kuvira the Uniter. When she's doing, I guess she's technically uniting.
Yeah, but inside of her iron fist.
Yeah.
It's like one of those old style, like Mongolian, like Attila the Hun. Like it's like one of those fascism kind of things.
Yeah, well, it's like absolutely. Speaking of which, it's like all of her, like that's all of her style of rule. So like we see her like on her train in the army as she's like, they say it's like, oh, we got two, like Varric's there. It's like, oh, we got 2 more provinces, bust out the Julie, get the tea. And then she's like, I'm not drinking until every single, province is under our control. And then they get attacked by bandits. And then like after she captures them, there is that moment where it's just like, it's basically like, follow me and die, or stay here and die. I mean, that's not what she says, but that's what it means.
Well, I mean, sort of like, backing up, that when she was taking out those bandits, amazing.
Yeah.
Just like using her armor to chain them up, essentially.
Yeah, and it was a great fighting. It was like a great and interesting fighting style. She's literally like her armor, which is made of metal, and she's a master metal bender. She's using these bands of her armor to like basically blind and then bind up by the hands or feet, just like all of those bandits, and then using those metals to then like clump them all together.
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah, it's a really cool style. I do see kind of like already like the weakness that's going to be exploited. It's like the more that she uses, the more exposed she is.
Yeah.
Theoretically. So it's like, I guess like if you're fighting her, it's like you have to like either overwhelm her or like, kind of like let it go for a while maybe. I'm hoping that's how it's going to end up, but I'm not sure on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess going back to your question, yeah, essentially she had them all, she's recruiting them, which to me, I kind of interpret it, or I guess I'm theorizing at this point, that like, I mean, the only thing that she could use those bandits, those recruits for, is if she was using them to essentially torment other nations to get them under her control.
Which I was thinking that too, because there was a lot of there was, I think, like the bandit attack that's like what we'll get to with Kai and Opal seemed almost a little too convenient. Like, one, they were well coordinated, and two, how did they get an airplane?
Right.
Yeah, it's like, and which is like, we'll see. Well, we're there's a lot of skipping ahead that we're doing here, but I guess like it's we'll come back to that. This is a big unpack. There's a big scene to unpack. I guess let's go on to some more lighter fare as somebody attempts to hit Prince Wu in the face with a pie.
Yeah, what kind of protesters use pies as their ammo?
Well, it's like I guess it's just like, you know, because like because it's a kids show, it's got to be, you know, like they're not actually going to be assassins. Although they built that moment up to be like a real like honest assassination attempt. Right. Like Mako was just like looking right and left, and you see like shifty people coming through, and we're also seeing that like Prince Wu. Like, I had a question the entire time. It was like, was Kuvira uniting the Earth Kingdom for Prince Wu, and that's, like, who's doing it? Or, like, or are they, like, an opposing force? Because you saw some people carrying, like, the banner of Kuvira the Uniter, and then some people saying, like, we love you, Prince Wu, but it was a lot fewer people saying we love you, Prince Wu, than, like, than raising the banner of Kuvira.
Right. Well, I had assumed that she was doing it of her own accord, like it was just something that they had deemed that needed to be done, especially after the Earth Kingdom went into chaos. And then as she was going, she kind of got this like messiah complex and decided that it was her job and her duty to unite all peoples within our nation.
Yeah, and you see that a little bit, like they convey a lot of that in the animation when she recruits those bandits. You see that like sly look on her face, like how pleased she is that these people are like, you know, bending knee in loyalty to her. It's, you know, it's very, I mean, we do see kind of later on that it's like there are kind of like benefits to her regime in the sense that you're not starving to death, but and also like Bolin is with her, like right in that car, and like you don't think that Bolin would be part of something. I don't know how he got hooked in with all of that. Like,
well, I mean, it doesn't. Like from the inside, I guess it doesn't really seem like an evil thing that they're doing. From within, it seems like they're going from nation to nation, providing supplies and providing protection. But I mean, from the city, state, nation standpoint, these people are invaders coming in and essentially seizing control by force.
And we'll actually see that, and like, you know, there is a scene like just kind of after this where, you know, Kai, Bolin, and Opal and like everybody kind of like has their greeting, and we see that there's a division. Like Opal doesn't believe in what Kuvira, and that's creating a divide between her and Bolin. But even more so, her own brother is apparently engaged now to Kuvira, which I think was the oldest son, was
I believe so.
Suyin's oldest son, because we never. What was his name?
Batar.
Okay, because I don't think we got a name for him last season.
I like rewound like 6 times. I was like, it's gotta be in there.
Well, thanks for looking it up. Well, so they have a reunion, but then we see Kuvira and this really incredibly tense scene of her talking with the governor in like getting him. It's like, all right, now sign this treaty and we'll give you all of the food and protection that you desperately need. And he just goes, no, I have heard what you do to provinces. You come in and you just take over and everything is under your thumb. She just goes, no, you'll still be governor, just under my supervision.
Yeah, she's like a mob boss right now.
Yeah, like totally, like mob boss warlord. And she does this line, it's like, you will perish, ... unless you take my very generous offer.
Yeah.
Like, good guys don't say that.
No, not at all.
And it's just like, and so like we're building her up to be this, like, we're already seeing like the villain cracks within her. And I'm sure we're going to see more, but although we see a little bit less later on. But of course the governor refuses to sign, and then Opal and Kai decide it's just like, well, the passages between the mountains are blocked, but the air isn't. Right. We have a flying bison. We'll bring you supplies that you need.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they go from village to village gathering food and other supplies, warmth and blankets and all that stuff. And all of a sudden they're attacked by a plane full of bandits. bandit plane, I call it.
At least like one good solid bandit with just like a double, like, I guess you call it a swallow is what it is. I don't know. I'm pulling from Chrono Cross on this one. That's what he uses. So it's a swallow, and so a guy comes in and like they are. Well, they're well coordinated and they're very, very well supplied. This guy comes in and this is like one of those moments that I'm just like, yeah, why did you guys get rid of the staffs? Because I almost think that the staff might have been a little bit better. I mean, Kai does his best trying to, just knock this guy out of the air, take everything, but they just end up like cutting the straps right off of Lefty, and take off with all the supplies, kind of, as you said, like a little conveniently.
Yeah. Well, though I would say that like the staff is something that can be dropped and you can't really recover it, but having the squirrel suits like a part of you, you can essentially fly whenever you need to.
Yeah. But I don't know, like the staff was used, we've seen it used as like a really effective like weapon or amplifier too, especially with Zahir, the way that Zahir used it in the last season. Like he had a lot of like interesting ways of airbending just with that in a more offensive way. So I was hoping that now that they have this job as like protectors and fighters, that they might adapt more of that style to their everyday.
Yeah. Well, they're not cool enough.
Or or maybe they're just not there. Like
Yeah, I mean they're still learning. I mean they've only been training for 3 years. Zahir had been essentially doing it his whole life.
Yeah, and then we bring all this back. Like when they land in the village, the governor's like, "Where are all the supplies?" And they're just like, "Well, we got hit by bandits. It's unfortunately," and and then Kai just like brings out the treaty that Kuvira basically had offered him, and he's just like, I think it's time you have to make a hard decision. And the guy's like, well, did I ever have a choice?
Right. And in this moment, I kind of felt like Kai was on Kuvira's side at this point. Like he believes in what she's doing, which I think will cause a little bit of a strife with her and Opal, him and Opal. But yeah.
I think it may just be that like because he's a lot younger than Opal, and it could just be like he's just seeing that world. It's just like, well, Kuvira has the supplies, she has the army, they need it, we can't provide it. I think you should just do this, and it's like he doesn't kind of see the long term in it, but it might come in. But as soon as they sign it and they get it to Kuvira. Like she ends up right back in that village, and they're just like offloading like supplies and those mechs.
Yes, I'm so excited for the mechs.
I don't like. I'm also just like, it seems like they're running on like some kind of power, and I'm just like, well, what? Like, can't you just like metal bend these things? Like if you're inside them.
Well, I mean, metal benders, though we see them so prominently, I mean, I think they're still pretty rare. You can't have a whole army of metal benders all around the world powering these things. So I assume they're probably like steam powered or something like that.
I guess something along those lines. But we see a lot in that scene of like, the villagers are rejoicing, the kids are playing, but it was a dark scene if you like see like I guess like I'm trying to think of like I didn't want to go Godwin's Law on this, but like it did seem like some scenes were like the Nazi Germany like rolled into like Austria, where they were just like, we surrender, just like come in, and then you see kind of the children playing with the soldiers, and they're just like, and we bring food and medicine, and it had that, it's just like, this is all good, and then everything just went real dark again when Kuvira was just like turned to the governor and said, it's like, yeah, everything's going to be great so long as you pledge loyalty to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I mean, yeah, and he begrudgingly accepts. Which he had no other choice. It's like, this is a woman who was willing to leave a bunch of bandits on a train track if they didn't follow her. So what do you think that she would do to him? I mean, she'd probably wait until he was, away from his subjects, but she would kill the crap out of him.
I think that she would go to that extreme. And I think that's something that Opal, I don't know if Opal sees that in her or just sees her as a traitor to the Metal Clan, maybe.
I think she sees her for the tyrant that she is. I mean, she doesn't have to necessarily see that portion of her, but like she sees what she's doing and how she's essentially subjugating all these lands.
Yeah, and it's one of the darker twists we've actually seen in like in the Avatar universe. So I'm excited to see like where it's going to be going forward, and like what also is going to happen between Bolin and Opal, because this is very clearly like, yeah, they love each other, but this is going to possibly like break them apart.
Yeah, which is sad because they're a really cute couple.
Even as Kuvira says, "Oh, it's my favorite couple," in a really creepy way, because I don't think she can do anything that isn't creepy at this point. But on a lighter note, getting us back to Air Temple Island, we see, just like Tenzin and the family sitting around as they're waiting for Avatar Korra to show back up. And then, of course, we have Milo the boy has become Milo the man. A nice little bit of levity there.
Yeah.
And Mako gets some really unfortunate news.
He thought he was going to be a detective, but he's going to Ba Sing Se.
Which is again, like, we're seeing this more maturity in the show. Like, as Lynn said, it's just like you're now a pawn in President Raiko's political game. So, we know that Prince Wu is kind of this like useless socialite, and apparently the United forces are backing him. But it almost seems like as Kuvira is doing a like traditional warlord approach to like, I'm going to unite the kingdoms. It looks like President Raiko is doing this like more subterfuge, like maybe just maybe he's like puppet state with Prince Wu, and the United Republic can basically control the Earth Kingdom from like the shadows.
I mean, yeah, that because he obviously has no real political prowess. He has no real like, other than the fact that he is related to the former Earth Queen. Yeah, he has no right kind of leading all these people, and so it only makes sense from a political standpoint that Republic City would help him out whenever they can.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
And we're such close friends. Obviously, we need to get favorable trade agreements.
Oh, of course.
But the big twist at the end of this episode, that like in a show that's called The Legend of Korra, we've seen none of Korra so far, but we see the southern water tribe ship pull up to the dock, and Korra's father, Tonrak, comes off. And, like, of course, there's the greetings, and everyone's like, well, where's Korra? And he's like, what do you mean, where's Korra?
Yeah, she left 6 months ago, and she's been sending me letters about how much fun she's having in on the Earth Temple, or Air Temple.
And they're like, well, where is she? And then suddenly we're brought to this. The only way to best describe it, I don't know if it's pit fighting or MMA, or, like, I don't know how legal any of this is, but we just see Korra in an earthbending arena just fighting another earthbender, like seemingly all out. Like, they're not pulling punches on any of this.
And Batman begins again.
And yet once more. And so, like, but I guess, like, we're not only we're seeing, like, she has like a new haircut, which again is kind of, which like at the very end we're kind of see like she's like Clark Kenting it up with that.
Right.
But above all, we see that Korra, for the first time, really, Korra just gets outbended. Like, we've never seen, like, Korra just, like, in a physical confrontation, just, like, lose it this hard, like, ever before. And this is against somebody who, just objectively, is not as good as her, as even at earthbending. Yeah.
And especially since she is the Avatar known for her essential physical prowess, and she's the most aggressive, it's weird to see her get her tail handed to her so hard. And I think it's probably a bigger sign of the damage that was done during the last season.
Yeah.
And who knows if she even has access to her other bending. I mean, she might be still rebuilding her abilities from here.
If nothing, like rebuilding her body, because she may never be back to 100%. And again, as you said, like she was like the meathead hero.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of what I've always loved about her, because you never see a female meathead hero who's like their main thing is I'm going to punch it until it stops.
Right.
Like that's, you never see. Yeah, it's always a guy that does that, and so. I guess that this is a season we're going to see a lot more growth on Korra, just as like her trying to be smarter as opposed to being stronger, which is I think that's a good change for the show.
Right. I agree.
But like just that, well, now we see that ending line. Like we don't know how she feels about, I guess, being the Avatar anymore, because that's been the whole of her identity. And like as the fight promoter, like when he tosses her money and says, "Hey, anybody ever tell you look like that Avatar Korra girl?" He was like, "Yeah, I get that a lot."
Whatever happened to her?
I wouldn't know. And like that's our end.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, for me, I was having a conversation about Korra and the progression of her character, and that, like, or at least the progression of what the Avatar is to this world. Mm-hmm. And at a time, she was kind of like the Pope. Like the religion of the Avatar ruled the land, and then slowly but surely government started taking over, and now they're able to govern themselves, and there's no real place for her because everyone's kind of more self-sufficient than they would need her to be a savior of.
I guess it's like she's struggling with that, like, not only where do I fit in now that like the airbenders are essentially doing what my job would be, and you know this world seems to be able to balance itself, like where do I fit in? I guess like I'm guessing that's where we're gonna go for the rest of the season on like her own character journey. So
right.
So getting ready to, I guess, strap into that. Well, I guess that's all we got for this week. Looking forward to seeing you guys next time around.
Yes, sir.
Where can they find you, Mr. Miller?
You can find me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TaurijAY. You can also find me on the Sword Art Online panel on Sundays, the Doctor Who Classics panel on Wednesdays, and the upcoming Sunday Constantine panel.
And I'm John Quick. You can find me on Twitter at @NowQuick, and also on the Attack on Titan panel. And guys, if you're liking what we're doing, please like, comment, share on YouTube, and be sure to rate us and comment on iTunes, and join us live in the chat. We love hearing from you guys. Well, that's all for us this week. Look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday, where hopefully Liz will be back with us.
Yep.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.